Good morning, fisher people. I'm Nosh from Fish on TV. It's Saturday, the 22nd of March, and I'm down here at the wonderful Larford Lakes for the Golden Rod final, along with my old mate Woody, Tidsy, Jeff, Andy Kinder. Oh, they're all here. Everybody, Jargo. We're all trying to win that trophy of Golden Rod Champ. It's over 2 days and it's over 3 lakes. So we've got the Match Lake, the Specie Lake and Arena. Now I arrived on Thursday, had a little practice Thursday, and it was the practice match yesterday, and it's become apparent there are 2 banks you don't want to be on and 2 banks you want to be on, and Arena's been fishing okay. Now, I've had 2 days fishing and caught absolutely next to nothing. I had £7 on the Thursday with just skimmers, no carp showed whatsoever, whilst on the opposite bank they were absolutely heaving carp in. Yesterday I drew the Burbank on Match on 27 and I had 8 skimmers, not 1 carp. I think there was a 1 carp to my right and 1 carp to my left right at the end. Nothing came in the margins. There's a lot of short fishing going off, margins for later. And on both days, I've not had any carp turn up in any of the margins on the pegs that I've been on. So not fantastic. So far, not a carp, but it is rammed with carp. Where do I want to be? Not sure. I just want to be in a fair section. I think he's changed the sections. I think he was going to do opposite banks, but I think it's become obvious, at least Phil, I think anyway. I've been told he might change it last minute, but if it's opposite banks, you need to be on the bank that's catching fish, not the bank that ain't catching fish. Otherwise, that's your golden rod over. If he pegs it where, on the banks where there's not a lot of fish being caught, that's the fairest way, I think. But we'll see what Phil does anyway. So, definitely draw dependent. The informed peg at the minute is Specie 4. That seems to be catching quite a lot of fish. The weather's going to be slightly different today, but I think anybody would take that peg. It could be end peg dominated. I don't know. Last year it wasn't won from end pegs. Rob Bergen won it from not too great a pegs, but he's managed to win his section. So that's what it's all about. I think there are sections of 11. You do not want 11th in section on your first day. I think you certainly want to be top 5 in your section to have half a chance, especially with framing. Possibly for a win, I don't know. I think obviously 2 points is the perfect score. 3 or 4 points, you'll definitely be up there. So it ain't going to be easy. Class anglers here. I'm really looking forward to it. So I'm going to try and get some footage. The weather's supposed to be turning pretty bad this weekend. At the minute we've got cloud and a bit of sun, but it's supposed to rain this afternoon and rain tomorrow. So there's 66 of us, so it's be absolutely rammed. I don't think it's going to be easy. I don't, unless you draw 2 absolute flyers. Mainly method. That's what most people are just catching on. The silverfish haven't been showing in big numbers because, I mean, you can have days, or in the past I've had days where they've caught, I remember Lee Kerry catching £100 of bream on Specie 1 year, but they've just had a festival and I think 12 kilo won the 3-day festival. So they've been using poles and everything, so they're just not quite showing in the numbers for it to be worth targeting. But you just never know them. They could just switch on, you don't know. In previous years they've caught plenty of skimmers just on the method. So we'll see. I really don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of people's confidence down at the minute after practice days. Don't bother me that. End of the day, if you draw a decent area, you have a good chance of catching a few. So you can only ever do your best, people. Only do your best. And that's what I'll be doing today. And we'll see where we get drawn. The draw will be taking place in a few minutes. They're all stood down there. I've been to sign in, but they weren't doing it just yet. So I thought I'd introduce this video. Let's try and get some footage, and more importantly, let's try and get plenty of fish caught and some good section points. So Dave had a decent day yesterday. He won his section. He drew a decent area. Like I say, I drew awful. I didn't even weigh in. Maybe £3 of skimmers. That was about it. Tidsy had 2 fish for £4 of skimmers. Adam Wakeling blanked. So just to give you an idea of how difficult it can be in certain areas. And if you don't know who Adam Wakeling is, one of the best feeder anglers in the country. Fishes for England and everything, so there you go. So let's get to the draw. Let's see where we get drawn. Fingers crossed for a decent area and some good section points today. That's what we're after. So we'll see you guys at the draw.
Not opposite. And on the opposite bank, it will be 34 to 44, one section. So if you're in a difficult section over there, it's the same for everybody. You're not competing against both bagging up opposite you on the third bank. Does that make sense? Right. Hey, Norris!
You are an idiot.
Come on, the mighty, come on out!
Come on, Mighty Mouse.
Come on out!
What you got? Match for 20.
Oh, Alan, spot on, Alan.
Right. We've got 3/4 of an hour to go. I'm not far off ready. What else have I got to do? I've just got my bait up rod to do. I'm here on peg 20, it's end peg as you can see, there's nobody else down here. Tids is also drawn, the one that won the lake yesterday, end peg on 13 in the bowl, there's a lovely bowl at the back. I drew down there, past halfway down there, and it was terrible yesterday, 8 skimmers. This has got to be a different peg, there was £61 come off this peg. I'm keeping it dead simple. I've got 2 10-foot rods with 420 centuries on, 020 line. It'd be 019 engage for the hook length, size 10s and size 12s. And this is a 12-foot SUV for the margins with a large hybrid feeder on. And the reason I'm doing that is so when I actually go into the margin, I've got some margins down here now. Do you keep close to these reeds or do you go to the edge of the platform? So I'm going to go as far as the 12 foot goes and the length of line, so it just drops in. So it's not splashing in. And it's a 12-foot bait up rod, so that'll be the same thing. And I'm hoping to get some fish down there late on. They might even come in quite early. I'll be starting at sort of 5 metres down here. And then I cannot chuck to the island. I can chuck towards the island, but I'm looking at it from the edge of the peg. You cannot go past this peg here. So looking at that, it's about 2.5 to 3 metres away from the island, but there are some snags sticking up. But there's an area that I'd love to cast up, and it's like a bare bank there, and it's beautiful. But it's past this peg, and I'm sure that would be the spot to cast up. So I've got that option out there. I'll probably start just off the island and edge in towards it. I'm pretty sure around here it goes shallower. I'm not casting a bomb out to have a look. I'll just read my feeder, it's out. I don't want to make a load of noise. I don't want them to know I'm here really. So short, options for island, margins. That's the plan. It's as simple as that. Keep it dead simple. And you know, so it's first time I've sat in a peg and I've seen a fish. You won't be able to see it, but it's just cruising about there. And we saw one earlier down here on Spessy Lake there, behind there on the end peg. Alex Doherty has drawn the end peg there. The 2 days I came, I never saw a fish there. There are hundreds of fish there. It is ridiculously full of fish where he's drawn today. Unbelievable. So good luck, Alex. I've got Carl at the side of me here, and then I've got Zach Williams on the next peg. I won't tell you what Carl's real name is. He's a good lad. Looks like a little... Eh? Oh, it's Carl Bagger, they call him. He carries big bags under his arms, that's what it is.
Yeah, you can insert a clip into that later on.
Yeah. So if anything, I'll have an enjoyable day and a laugh with him. He's as daft as a brush. So yeah, they're the tactics. Bait wise, I've got micros there. I've got some more micros in there. Ground bait. That's the F1. It's the finesse. The bag and match bait's finesse. It's got that lovely colour to it, which I quite like for when it's a little bit coloured like this. Corn and micros. I have some dead reds to put in there. And wafters. There's a lot there. I keep these wafters in here, so I'm not in and out. I just use them all the time, different lakes. So main two will be these two. So we've got orange, pink, yellow, white, and then smaller yellow ones if I think we need them, because I think there'll be some F1s around the island. So they're the tactics. Keep it as simple as possible. No point panicking. And away we go. So just a bit bait up feeder to set up, and then I'm ready. Oh, and my clothing. Put my clothing on. It's been a bit warm this morning, but it's due to rain. Not happy about that. And the wind, I've just noticed the wind's turning. It's starting to go that way. I don't want that. I want it to keep blowing into that over there. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Fingers crossed. And let's hope we have a great day. Dave has drawn on the worst side of the Spessy Lake. They've had to change the sections which I mentioned. He's on 30 something on Spessy, which isn't the best. So he's got his work cut out there, but they all have. So he's just got to catch that extra one more than anybody else, I think, to get good section points. So good luck, Woody. Right, we'll see you guys during the match. Well, one skimmer. And Carl, to my right, his first chuck. It went round after a couple of minutes. There's a £5, £6 carp. Typical. Well, we'll try that again. Just on the short line. That's where he is, only under a minute. I wanted to see exactly how far out he was chucking it, but I got a fish on, so I couldn't see. But we're off the mark. 8 minutes in. Little skimmer. Just a little Under Armour. We just need some big ones to turn up. There we go, all set. So off the mark, people, get in. That's all I can catch here is skimmers at the minute. I've had an F1 and 2 skimmers, and I've just put a slightly bigger pellet on, and this has gone round with a better fish. Carl's trying to outstare me, he's looking at me already. It's weird. Get away from those reeds. Small carp. Was it an F1? It's an F1, I think. I thought it was a better fish. He's put a right scrap up as that lad. F1, thought it was a carp. Not a bad size, I suppose. They're the 2.5 pounder. An orange wafter. That's no good, that one. Orange 8mm wafter. I'm just on a small hybrid feeder at the minute. Probably as the day goes on I'll probably start upping it a bit bigger size to a large. I just want to feel my way in to start with. I don't want to put loads of bait in and completely ruin it. But these fish apparently are, because I've not been on carp, these carp are responding to a bit of bait, but usually just in the margins, but we'll see. We'll see how things go. Just a nice little underarm plop. And it's easy to see where I need to be for accuracy, because where the pellets go in, as they're coming off, you can see little bubbles coming up. So that is my marker. And I'm slack lining, and I've got some of the putty on my line as well to try and hold the line down. And I'm fishing with a slack line and just waiting for the rod to melt round. So there's a right little bit of line still on top of the water. So I know it's slack, I'll just sink that. And hopefully the putty will be down, so it's about that far away from my feeder. Hopefully the fish won't feel it, because I know these fish definitely shy away from it, because when I saw a carp in front of me earlier this week, it touched my line and bolted off. And I think that's what will probably happen when you get liners here. They'll feel the line and away they go. And that's why I've put the putty on, just to try and hold the line on the deck. There's quite a few skimmers there, because I keep getting little dinks like this. And sometimes they'll proper smash it around and there's nothing there. It's as if they're picking the bait up and running with it. I'm just getting little taps at the minute. So, at least we're away. So 4 fish in the first 45 minutes. It'd be nice if these fish had been 5 and 6 pound carp, but they're not, they're F1s. Hoping to get carp in the margins. I knew there were F1s around here because the guy who fished it yesterday, he caught quite a few F1s, he said. So that's why I started on a small wafter, but the thing is those skimmers seem to keep taking the small ones, so I've just put a bigger one on, hoping for carp. So let's see how we're going for the rest of the match. I've gone out towards the island, I've lost a big fish. I've had a skimmer off it and it's just gone round again. I think it's an F1. I think, I could be wrong. And Carl's had 2 carp at side of me. It seems to be fishing quite difficult, or very difficult in fact. That's the biggest F1 of the day. Oh, he's just unhooked himself, nice one. Stay still so I can get this hook out. There we go, so that's 3 F1s and 5 skimmers. So we're just ticking along. And well, in fact I'll put a wafter on. Before I cast out, I'm going to put some bait in this feeder and drop some on my short line. And then I've got that to go back to a little bit later. I'll see what I'm doing in it. So I'll just put a few micros. I'm not squashing them in very tight. Just lightly put them in. then we go back out. So I'm just keeping that short line baited up. And we get back out there. And I'll get back out to the island where I've been. Oh, that didn't go in quite as well as I wanted it to, but we'll leave it there a sec. I'll give it a minute and then we'll go back over it. Just didn't quite get that right. Let that bait come off and then we'll go straight over it. 'Cause it just landed, it may clip, but it just didn't quite land right. I didn't like it. So we're ticking over. Probably got £7 in F1s and I don't know, maybe £2 in skimmers, something like that. So we're steady away. Tids is catching apparently, and I think Rooney's catching up to the island next to him. So we'll give you updates as we go along, people. Right, we're about an hour and a half into the match, and unfortunately the sound, for one reason or another, I don't know whether I knocked a connection, don't know whether it's a fault, has just decided to cut off. Nice one. So as you saw earlier, I've been catching short. I think I'd had 4 or 5 skimmers and a couple of F1s, and I've gone out to the island. I've had a skimmer, and then I've hooked into this carp. It did take a, right from the off I was beginning to think, ooh, it don't feel too great at the minute, but that short line never really kicked in. When I saw Carl catch quite a decent carp, it was a good size 8-pounder, I thought, oh, there's going to be a chance of some fish short here. Yes, I did have some fish, but they weren't the ones I was after. And I kept looking at the island. I've gone out there and it was the right choice. Now if you have a look on there, you can see the 2 silver birch trees, and then it looks like there's 2 bits of white, which is like wrappings of a post around some posts. Now that was my target. Even though Phil, when he came round, actually said, Alan, the point of the island is yours, I never actually had to go to the point. It was just 2 metres away from the island, and it just seemed to be the right spot. Once I'd had a couple of casts out there, I was getting liners, there was always signs of fish there, and I always thought I had a chance of catching quite consistently. But for how long, I wasn't quite sure. I do apologise, I'm trying to do a voiceover and there's a horn beeping. So in the bag we go with a nice 4 or 5-pounder. And I am going to go back out to the island. But before I did that, every time I caught a fish or brought the feeder in, I would put some micros in my feeder and just empty it on the 5-metre line. So back out to the island I've gone. I've just fed the short line. I've gone back out to the island, and 4 to 6 minutes in, which seemed to be sort of the average bite time. Now and again, I think I've had another 3 or 4 fish here before this one, and the average bite time seemed to be between sort of 3.5 to 4 minutes and 6 minutes. So I never left it in any longer than 6. If I felt I was losing, if I felt it needed a refeed, I'd have a couple of quick casts. But as it turned out, the fish must have known, because I actually got a bite pretty quick. And it's just how it worked out. It was one of those days where, when you thought something, it seemed to work. Especially on this island shot, when I thought, oh, something's changing here. And I'd just change something, whether it be add a bit of goo, or change the colour of the pellets, or put a few more pellets on than normal. It just seemed to trigger a bite. It was one of those days where the subtle changes seemed to happen. Now, is that coincidence? Or is it because I've done those changes? We'll never really know. I like to think it's because I've done them, but you know, by now I'm feeling quite comfortable and quite confident. They're not catching too many on the other bank. Carl and Zach are struggling a little bit. I think Carl's had one or two more. He's even gone into his margins quite early. Now that were freaky because he was staring at me. It looked like Terminator staring at me. So there you go, look, just fed that short line. It was easy to see where my marker was with the bubbles that come up from the pellets reacting on the bottom, because it's quite calm. And then I'd go out with the 8mm wafter. I changed from a 5mm to I think I mentioned it earlier, to an 8mm wafter. Orange and pink seemed to be the best on the day. And at this point, I've already fed my margins. We're past halfway through the match now. And I've fed the margins, and I have noticed the odd little swirl. As you can see, I'm looking. I have noticed the odd swirl, but I also noticed there were some bow waves. I will have mentioned it on this whilst I was talking. So they seemed to be coming in, but they weren't settling. And I've noticed Carl had not had one in his margins. But the word on the bank was that Les Marshall had started catching one or two in the margins. It's like Indian drums when you're fishing, you get to know everything. He was miles away from me. And he's on a peg that produced 20 odd pounds the day before. So as you can see, I've gone to my marker, I'm back out there, and we're waiting for another bite. And around it goes again. Again, I've probably had another 3 or 4, maybe 5 fish. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's gone round again. I think it's a decent carp. I think I've already had a quick look at my margin. Heard that I noticed that Martin Carpenter opposite, he'd started catching in his margin. And I've had a look in my margin, put the putty on to hold the line down to try and prevent liners. As the fish were definitely there. I'd get a liner, then nothing. It's as if they've touched a line and gone. So I'm not sure whether I've not baited it right, fed it right. I'm not sure whether I've put the feeder in quiet enough. I don't know. There was something. I couldn't catch them in the margins. There was something not quite right with the way that I was fishing in that particular margin, because I have caught fish in margins. I've had some great success, especially like at Lindholm, but I could not catch these here. There was something I needed to change. But going out to that island was producing 1 or 2 fish for me. What I will say is I've tried the margins twice, but I did not stay in those margins for too long. Just experience from pole fishing. If I've not had any signs after 5 or 6 minutes, I'll refeed it and back out to where I was catching fish. But what I did notice was every time, my fear was if I left the island, and it took me quite a lot longer than I really wanted to do. Here we go again, look, just feeding that short line. I did have a look on that short line eventually, but I didn't really have to, because I knew I could catch from the island. Now you're probably wondering, why have you come off catching fish? Because Les Marshall and the guys opposite are catching in the margins, and they're catching bigger fish. Very good fish from the margins here at Larford. They can be up to 15-20 pounds in this particular lake. Average stamp 8 to 10 to 12, around that sort of size. So you've got to have a look. And I'm still not panicking. I was quite pleased with myself how calm I actually kept about the during the day's fishing in such big circumstances. You know, you'd think you'd start getting nervous and making wrong decisions, but I don't think I did. I was quite disciplined and didn't leave it too long in the margin. I'm not going to say my worst fears came along, but when I went back out to the island, it did take a little bit longer to get it going again than if I'd have stayed on it. But I had to have a look in those margins, because if that had taken off, I could have probably put another £100 in my net, which would have given me some fantastic weight for the following day and probably guaranteed a section win. So I've heard that Les Marshall is sort of £70–80 now. So we're getting towards the end of the match, and I'm back out on that island, and I'm thinking I need a few more fish. So there we go, look, we're just baiting it up just in case I need it. But again, out and back out to that island. You're probably thinking, why are you doing that? I think you've just always got to. I can't remember exactly how long's here. I think there's about 45 minutes left. So I've still got to keep having a look at that. I've decided at this point now, I'm not going to go back in those margins because I cannot catch them. Probably wasted 15 to 20 minutes maximum on two occasions trying to catch them in there. And I've decided keep on that island. I've also had a quick look short. When I'd cast out to the island, I'd had no bites the first time I went out, and then I thought, right, I've emptied a good feeder full, had a look short just for 3 or 4 minutes, no signs, gone back out there, and I think it's after this when I've done that, or was it, I can't remember, it was after this or just before, but I've definitely done that, and it has triggered a response. Back in the same spot there. And I reckon if I'd have just stuck to that spot alone all day, I reckon I could have probably put an extra £20 or so in my net. But bear this in mind, people, if I had have caught in my margins, I reckon I could have probably had another £50 or £60. I just couldn't catch them. So that's something I'm going to need to address. Right, well, there's no presentation, but I have won the section, and I think I have come second in the match. So not bad. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Oh, we are working. Right, good morning, fisher people. I'm back here at Larford Lakes. I'm having to do yesterday's summary again, because as you've probably noticed, the sound went off halfway through. I don't know whether it was the microphone in my pocket, the connection while I've been landing fish, don't know, but the sound cut off. It came back on whilst I was weighing in, don't know why, and then it went off again when I did the summary, a quick summary on the bank, and all the footage looked great and everything. But a quick summary for you. I've drawn peg 20. I've had a few fish short, which I think the sound was on then. I had 3 lines in mind. Towards the island, you can't go any further than the left platform that was there, so I've gone towards the island, fished just off the island, and that has been the best area all day. I've baited the margins up, and I've got that wrong somehow. I don't know how, but nobody's really caught up our end in the margin. That's normally a really good margin. Now I think I've done it wrong with the line going across. I think I need to have my rod near the bank so the line goes, so they're not getting liners. The fish were definitely coming in, got big massive liners, and then you'd see them go out. So I've done something wrong there in presenting the bait, but I couldn't catch him. And then I've gone back out to the island, have a nice little run at the end. They started catching one or two short to my right, Carl. So well done, mate. I think he's weighed about 60 pounds or something. But I've ended up with 83 pounds 7. And that has come second in the whole match. It's come first in the arena and the match lake, which is the two lakes that is classed as one in this competition. And more importantly, I've come first in section. So, and it was very close. Les Marshall, he was nowhere with an hour to go. He got nothing, and then he's had 10 big lumps in his margin, and he's had 82 pounds something. So very, very close indeed. Dave's been on the other bank. The Specie bank on the Chalet bank has fished awful. There's been one or two on the end pegs that have caught. I think peg 19 produced about, oh yeah, peg 19 produced 84 pounds. That was the match winner. I've forgotten his name now. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Mine's just gone blank. I can't remember who it was. Oh, George Parker. George Parker. So well done, mate. He's won the whole match. But yesterday, yes, very pleased to be catching some carp and F1s and a few skimmers to start with. Thoroughly enjoyed the day, and nice to have bites, because the first 2 days practice I've caught nothing. I've probably had 5 or 6 pound of fish in the 2 days practice. Absolutely nothing. I'm just thinking, well, that's not a great start. But I'm not one of those people to dwell on it and start panicking. You know, every other day is a different day, and today is definitely a different day. The wind has completely changed. The wind is now blowing into the Specie bank. It's a lot colder, and it's raining. Bloody hell. People have said, where do you want to draw? Have you been dreaming about it? What do you want to do? Not even thought about it. It's not like a sport where you're trying to psych your body up to cope with all the pain barriers and stuff. No, you're relying on a bit of luck to draw in a decent area or anywhere where there's some fish to give you a chance. So I really don't know where I want to be. Like I say, with the different weather, the lower pressure, the fish might get their heads down. It could be a completely different match today. So no point worrying about where you're going to get drawn. It is what it is. We'll get to us peg, and we shall do our best. You can only do your best. But I'm in A1 position. Let's hope we can have a great day today, and we'll keep his fingers crossed for me for a good draw. Right, actually I keep saying today, it will be tomorrow actually. Right, we'll see you in the morning at the draw at Larford Lakes for round 2, the final round.